You've done it again. 3 weeks you've been here, and I've yet to win a toss.
Oh, come on, pay.
Why don't you go back and scout for the bloody Americans?
Well, they don't pay as much as the British do for scouting. Hey, better luck next time.
Cool.
Take our land. We will fight them if they try.
By then, the Kentuckians will be much stronger. Many of your people will die. Why not fight them now?
There are few rifles among us. There's little powder. We too must wait until we are stronger.
It will be too late by then. Crooked Hand is respected amongst his people. We need their help. Call them together. Ask them if they will be our allies.
And if they agree?
I will give them many guns and much powder. I will give them whiskey that they may celebrate their victories. And I will pay them for white men's scalps.
How many guns? How much whiskey?
A wagon load of guns and powder. A wagon load of whiskey. Your people will be very rich.
How do I know you speak the truth?
Tell me where, and I will send the guns and the powder. I will send the whiskey. When you get them, you will know it is the truth. And you will believe me when I say that I will pay for the scalps when they are brought to me.
I have heard you talk. In 2 weeks, my people will meet with the Chickasaw. You will send the wagons. Then I will speak with the council.
It is agreed. Tell me, where does this council take place?
Do you know the Indian trail the white men call Warrior's Trace?
Yes, I know of it.
Far to the south of this trail, the small streams join one another to form a river.
Ah, the headwaters of the Kentucky.
The meeting will be there. That is where you will send the wagons.
Hey, you there!
Over there, Mike. I'm afraid he got away, sir. But he's bleeding badly. He can't get far.
Boone was a man, yes, a big man, with an eye like an eagle and as tall as a mountain was he. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man. He was brave, he was fearless, and as tough as a mighty oak tree. From the coonskin cap on the top of old Dan to the heel of his rawhide shoe, the rippin'est, roaring'est, fighting'est man the frontier ever knew. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, and he fought for America to make all Americans free. What a Boone was to do and what a dream come true was he.
Good night. Good night. Yeah. Drink up, gents. Maybe you ain't got no place to sleep, but I have, and I sure don't intend to waste it.
You throwing us out?
Right now, I'm asking. Throwing out comes later.
Oh, you're a hard man, Cincinnatus.
Well, Cully, I sincerely doubt it's worth staying up for.
Just wait till tomorrow when you're thirsty.
Dan?
Latham Green.
Your wife said I'd find you here.
It's all washed out. You better sit down.
Yeah.
You're hurt, too. Here, let me take a look.
I'm over there. Just a have a drink.
Cincinnatus, bring a towel. Mr.
have taken the wrong turn, man. The last time I heard of you, you were heading for Kaskaskia with Major Clark.
Yeah, that's true enough.
Well, nothing's happened to Clark, has it?
Oh, they was all doing fine last I saw them.
What happened?
Well, I was on me a scout, and I got myself picked up by a redcoat patrol. They figured I was just a trapper, so I hired myself out to the British for a while.
You hired out to the British?
Well, I couldn't lick them, so I joined them. No, I just now come all the way down from Fort Detroit.
Eat this up, Cincinnatus. Is old hair-buyer Hamilton still up there?
Yeah, he's still in business. It'll be Kentucky heads buying next unless they're stopped.
Who's they?
A British detachment. They got themselves a wagon load of guns and powder. And another wagon load of whiskey. They're headed for a big meet with the Choctaws and the Chickasaws southeast of here at the headwaters of the Kaintuck. And if they gets together, this whole valley is going to be knee-deep in blood.
How are we going to stop them, Daniel?
Which way are they coming?
Down Warrior's Trace. I figure maybe you got 3-4 days to head them off.
Head him off with what?
Daniel, look. You know the country. You know, the only road goes right through Frenchman's Gorge, and there's one spot where it narrows down to where a man could almost spit across it.
If a man could get there first with enough powder, he could blow the whole shebang sky high.
You read my mind.
Cincinnatus, how much powder have you got?
Plenty.
Do I hear any volunteers?
Better speak up, Mason, because I think we're going. How much farther we gotta go?
Maybe 70, 80 miles.
Well, that gives us enough time.
Not much to spare. That country stands right up on end. Makes going a little rough.
Daniel, you want me to take the first watch?
Well, it doesn't matter very much. We're all going to get a turn.
Well, I'll take it. I ain't very sleepy.
Give me a holler in about 2 hours.
Okay.
I could hear you coming for 100 yards. Now, you know I've taught you better.
Paul, you know you can't see through that hat. For all you know, I could have been an Indian.
It could have been a whole tribe and made less noise than you. Well, I trust you scouted the terrain.
Yeah, Paul. And there's no use waiting any longer. 2 of them are asleep, but they got a horse guard posted.
That's a minor obstacle. We'd better get started.
Paul.
What is it now?
Those packs are toting. Well, they look monstrous heavy.
Who said anything about packs? They're likely personal possessions. And stealing them would be an act of common thievery. It's the horses, lad, the horses. They're always good for sale or trade with anyone, red or white. Now, come on.
How are we gonna get them out of here without waking up the camp? That timber's awful thick to travel through in the dark.
You don't have to worry about noise now, boy. Go ahead, move out.
Don't shoot. You might hit the horses. Mason.
What hit me?
I'm just about to ask you.
I don't know. Somebody grabbed me from behind. And that's all I remember.
Well, whoever did it wasn't ain't taking any chances on you waking up.
Horses.
Go on. Give me a hand. We'll get him over by the fire.
Oh.
Grab the harness.
Is it Indians?
If they'd been Indians, they'd have lifted your scalp.
The way it feels, I'm not sure they didn't.
Indians are white. It doesn't make much difference. Either way, we're set afoot. Set him down right here.
Thanks. What are we gonna do now?
Well, we're gonna get the horses back.
Dan, you sound like it was you got your brain shook up instead of Mason. The way they were traveling when they left here, those horses be in Carolina by morning.
Well, there's just a chance they may figure we won't try to track them.
What's any chance of making it on foot?
All we got to carry is 300 pounds of powder in those packs. It's 100 pounds apiece with food and water. We'd never make it.
Then I guess we get the horses back.
Good. Do you feel up to traveling?
You right now? We can't track them in the dark.
Well, I figure they'll head down the valley for a while to put some miles between us. So we'll just start walking. When daylight comes, we'll start tracking them. Here, let me give you a hand.
Dan, Mason's feeling kind of poorly. Maybe it'd be better if we left him in regard to powder and I go with you.
Well, he's just going to have a headache for a couple of hours. I want you here.
You don't trust me anymore?
Didn't say that.
That's what you're thinking, ain't it? Because I let the horses get away?
You just think you let them get away. You had outside help, but I just figured you'd like to get first crack at whoever gave you that goose egg. Well, they camped here before they stole the horses. Took time to eat. The looks of the prints, it looks like they had a woman with them.
Woman?
Well, what's so surprising about that?
I don't know. I just don't see a woman going around stealing horses, that's all.
That sentiment does you proud, Mason, but that goes to show you how much you don't know about women.
Ellie! Ellie, where are you, girl?
I'm taking a bath.
In the water?
How else am I going to take a bath?
Oh, it's common knowledge that taking a bath brings on sickness in the vapors. And yet you do it anyhow. I tell you, you put a burden on a man.
You said yourself that cleanliness was next to godliness.
Cleanliness of the soul. It's a common misinterpretation of the book. There's absolutely no excuse for daily washing.
That's not what my pa said.
Your father, may he rest in peace, was a misguided man.
He may have been misguided, but he was no horse thief.
Mind your tongue, girl.
I won't mind my tongue. You and Ethan didn't have to steal those horses.
It saddens me to hear you talk like that. The taking of those horses was a matter of necessity. Besides, I was only thinking of your welfare.
My welfare? You make it sound like I was crippled. I don't need a stolen horse to ride.
It was all part of a long-range plan. Now, the last place that we stopped, I was told that land was to be had for just the asking down in Carolina.
You mean we're going to settle down someplace?
Well, I was keeping it as a surprise, but since you wormed it out of me, You see, we need those horses. A man cannot till the soil without a beast to pull the plow. This gypsy life has no existence for a lady. It's to my discredit that I didn't think of it myself, but better late than never.
You don't mind me saying that I still don't believe you.
Well, I can't say I blame you. You see, I cast aside my Christian principles when Ethan's mother passed away. Yes, I've been a sinner. But now I've seen the error of my way.
Then take those horses back where they belong.
Girl, are you trying to get me hanged? I don't mind doing penance, but that's carrying it too far. No, I'll keep them around just as a reminder of my sinful past.
Paul, Indians!
Are you all right, boy?
Oh, they got the horses, Paul.
I already gathered that.
Come on, let's get him.
I don't think that would be advisable. It's been my experience where there's 3 Indians, there's apt to be more where they came from.
Take a look at that, Paul. Is it bad?
Oh, no, just a scratch.
Wherever they're bound, they're in a hurry.
And if we're gonna catch them, we better do it pretty soon. It's about a half hour before dark.
You smell smoke?
Nope. My sniffer ain't as good as yours, though.
It's from a campfire.
Then that don't make any sense. If they were in such a hurry, why'd they stop to build a fire?
We're not gonna find out standing around. Come on.
What about those 2 men that were trailing us, Paul?
They'll be along.
What are you going to tell them? They're apt to be put out about their horses.
Well, I don't know. But I'll think of something when the time comes.
You better get to thinking, Paul. The time's come.
Well, this is an unexpected pleasure. May I ask what you gentlemen are doing out here in the wilderness?
Right now, we're looking for horses.
Oh, well, that's quite a coincidence. So am I. No later than this afternoon, a band of thieving redskins ran off all our stock.
I don't see where you got any reason to complain. That's where you got them to begin with, ain't it?
Sir, are you calling me a horse thief?
Do you know any other name for it?
Well, would you believe that we found those animals peaceably grazing alongside the trail? At the time, it seemed like an act of divine providence.
Damn, there ain't no sense listening to him. He's just gonna keep right on lying. I'm gonna look around.
Stay right where you are. You, sir, I'll thank you to lay aside your gun. Ethan, get the rifle.
Don't touch that gun, Ethan.
Do as you're told, boy. I'll give the orders here.
You keep waving that pistol around, you're gonna get somebody killed. Take it away from him, Mason.
Stay where you are. I mean what I say.
Why don't you take it, Daniel?
I'm warning you. I'm not ordinarily a violent man, but I'll shoot the first one that moves.
Well, not with that gun, you won't. There's no powder in the pan.
It's broken. I acquired this firearm in a game of cards. It seems that the man that I won it from was dishonest.
And how was the card game?
Well, that was dishonest, too. It's getting so that you can't trust anybody anymore. Here, take it.
I'm going to ask you one more time. Where are those horses?
Like Uncle Simon said, the Indians stole them.
You keep out of this, Ellie.
You get right on up there. You just keep talking, Ellie.
That's all I know. Ask Ethan.
There were 3 of them. Jumped me before I could stop them.
Well, if they was Indians, how come they didn't lift your scalp? Huh?
Well, it could have been the Cherokees. They're friendly, but they've got a weakness for horses. You go with him, Mason.
Well, now that we've got our little differences settled.
Our little differences? You stole my horses and you cost me a day's travel and you call that a little difference?
Oh, I know you're a mite upset about those horses, and in all fairness, I can't blame you. But what's done is done. And being a fair-minded man myself, I can't say that I hold it against you for getting mad at me.
You're not going to hold it against me?
No, better friends than enemies. So allow me to introduce myself. I'm Simon Doggett, and this here's my adopted daughter, Ellie.
Howdy.
Howdy. My name's Boone.
Boone? Boone? That has a familiar ring. You're not running from the law, are you, Mr. Boone?
Nope. Are you?
Oh, whatever gave you that idea?
Since you did manage to steal my horses, it occurred to me that thieving might be just a part of your natural trade.
Oh, now there you go, bringing up a subject that I thought was already settled.
We're real sorry about the horses, Mr. Boone. But Uncle Simon needed them so we could start a farm.
He's a farmer?
No, not yet. But we aim to settle somewhere down in Carolina. Uncle Simon heard the land was free down there.
Oh, it's free, all right, if you don't mind fighting the Indians for it.
They never told me they had any trouble with the savages.
Well, that's Chickasaw and Choctaw land. They've never been too fond of the whites. Now it's worse that the British are paying bounties for white scalps.
Well, it looks as though we might have to change our plans.
Well, you just might take my advice and go back where you came from.
Well, Mr. Boone, I find that suggestion just a little bit impractical.
What he means is we got run out of town last place we were in.
Ellie, please.
That's why we're hiding out here in the woods.
Daniel, according to them tracks, there was 2, maybe 3 Indians, just like Ethan said there was.
I reckon that settles it. You know, if we were to split that load up into 6 pieces, we might still be able to make that gorge on time.
Them 3?
Well, Simon owes me a favor. This would be an opportunity for him to square it.
Just a minute, Mr. Boone. Am I to understand that you are to make of my kin and myself beasts of burden?
Well, that's one way of putting it.
Why, that's downright degrading. And beside that, conscripting labor is against the law. I can't allow it.
Well, maybe you'd like to go back to that town that just run you out of.
Oh, well. You don't leave a man much choice, Mr. Boone. Now, inasmuch as we're friends, I'd like to help you out, but as of late, I've had the miseries.
Well, I figure that you'll be feeling worse by the time you get to where you're going. Now, why don't you just start collecting your gear here?
What about her?
She's walked this far. I reckon she can walk a little farther.
Hell, she could get killed.
We can all get killed. There's no help for it. But we sure can't leave her here alone. All right, start packing up.
You know, Dan, without those horses, even with the 6 of us, I don't see how we're going to carry all this powder. Not make any time at all.
I've been thinking about that. If we carry just half of it, that ought to be enough to stop them for a while.
What good's that gonna do?
Well, don't forget they're carrying a load of powder, too. In the confusion, maybe one of us will get a chance to touch it off.
Look at your pa over there. Sound asleep like he didn't have a care in the world. Ethan, couldn't you talk to him?
Talk to him? About what?
About cheating and stealing the way he does. Seems like every place we go, he gets in trouble.
That's the way Paul is. Got to make a living for her somehow, don't he?
Some people work.
You know that ain't for Paul. He figures he's too smart to stoop to working with his hands.
Ethan, don't you ever feel like you'd like to have a home?
I don't know, maybe it's different with boys. Maybe it's like Pa said, you don't miss what you never had. Seems like we've been moving on to someplace else ever since I learned to walk.
Yeah, I guess that's my trouble. If Pa hadn't died, there's no use thinking about that either.
Ellie.
Oh, it's all right, Ethan. It's not your fault. I had no business sounding off the way I did.
Well, what I meant to say was, well, when you and me get married.
Who says we're going to get married?
Well, if I don't marry you, who else is going to?
I'll find somebody. Maybe I already have.
Who, Mason over there?
Could be.
Now, you hear me, and you hear me good. You know, I've seen him looking at you. But I didn't know you was looking back.
Why shouldn't I look at him?
Because you belong to me, that's why. I don't want you looking at anybody. Or anybody looking at you either, now. You just remember that.
Wrong, Daniel?
guy.
Yeah, looks like it's gonna be a real toad strangler. I wonder how waterproof this powder is.
Waterproof enough. Keep moving, Mason. I want to go ahead and see if I can find a shelter.
Well, on your feet. Gotta keep going.
What's eating you?
You keep your hands off of her.
Ethan, behave yourself. He was only being kind to me.
Yeah, well, I'll teach him to go putting his hands on you.
That's the way you want it.
Take it easy, Mason.
Got him coming. Hit me with my hands behind my
I'm gonna
back.
hit you, too, if you don't cool off.
Same goes for you. And we got enough trouble without you two starting a fight. That's better. Now, you two sit down and catch your breath while I see what's the matter with the lady.
Now, hold it right there. Well, right smart of you, Ellie, to make a fuss so we could get away.
I didn't do it for that. I just plain tripped and fell.
No matter. But we better get on our way before Mr. Boone gets worried and starts looking for us. Ethan, pick up those rifles. Well, I don't like to leave you out here in the woods without a gun, but I figure you'll make out all right.
Simon, put that gun down and tell the boy to put his down, too.
Mr. Boone, if you shoot me, you'll have one less slave to help you with your carrying.
I'll have 3 less if I don't. Now, make it easy on yourself and don't take too long making up your mind.
Huh. What makes you think my kin would help you if any harm was to come to me?
Simon, you're running out of time, and I'm running out of patience. Now, put it down.
He's bluffing.
And again, he couldn't. Ethan, put it down before you get me killed.
What happened?
Al Mason and I just got a little careless.
Found a cave about a half-mile up the way for shelter. Now move out.
Mr. Boone, I'd like to talk to you.
Simon, you just start walking, and this time you're walking in front of me.
Me break trail for you? Why, if we run into hostile Indians, a man could get killed.
That he could, and just might save me the trouble. Now move out.
Killed sneaking up that way, son.
I wasn't sneaking up on you. I was just trying to keep our slumbering companions from knitting up the ravel sleeve of care. You know Shakespeare, I presume.
Not very well.
Ah, that's a pity. The entire quotation escapes me for the moment, but it'll come to me later.
What do you want, Simon? You didn't wake me up just to quote poetry.
No, I didn't, but the phrase seemed appropriate at the time. Oh, relax, Mr. Boone. I just want to talk to you.
All right, start talking.
Well, I gathered from your conversation that we are about to reach our destination, wherever and whatever it may be.
With a little luck, we ought to get there in the morning. Why?
Well, considering all the services we've rendered, you don't seem to be exhibiting much trust in us.
Well, now, that's where you're wrong, Simon. It's not a question of a lot of trust. As a matter of fact, I don't have any trust in you at all.
That's what hurts. And after all the help we've been to you.
I'm going to ask you one more time. What is it you want?
Well, I'd like the simple answer to a question that's been plaguing me. You see, a little while ago, I took the liberty of peering into one of the packs I've been carrying. And I just wondered what in the world a man would be doing with all that powder.
Well, he could be selling it to the Indians.
The first thought that crossed my mind.
I'll bet it.
And it also crossed my mind that a man could make a tidy profit on such a deal. Mr. Boone, I could tell you were a businessman the first time I saw you.
Well, now, what else could you tell about it?
Well, I could tell that you wouldn't mind sharing the wealth with an old man who was willing to forget what you were selling and who you were selling it to.
Well, Simon, that sounds a little mite like blackmail.
Oh, that's an ugly word, Mr. Boone, an ugly word. Let's just say that I'm doing you a favor, and you're willing to pay for it. Well,
sit down.
Now, there's nothing more to discuss unless you're prepared to meet the terms right now.
I said sit down.
Oh.
Simon, assuming that all the things you said are true, what makes you think I'd pay you off instead of killing you?
Well, I've given that quite a little thought, too. And you're not the type of a man that would shoot down an unarmed man.
But I am the kind of man that has no compunction whatsoever about hanging a horse thief.
There you go, bringing up a subject I thought was settled.
Simon, you don't deserve an answer, but we're getting fairly close to where we're going. So I'm going to give you one. We're not going to sell that powder to the Indians.
What? Mr. Boone, I'm disappointed in you. But if this is so, do you mind telling me what we're doing and where we're going?
Well, sometime today or sometime tomorrow, depending on when they get there, we're going to blow up a British wagon train.
Don't you think that that's apt to get them a little mad at you?
That's a fair assumption.
And knowing this, you chose to involve me and my kin?
It was not my choosing, Simon. It was yours when you stole my horses.
You know, something like this could make a man hate horses. Mr. Boone, I have absolutely no quarrel with the British whatsoever. So, if you'll just pay me our share of the money that you owe us for being so much help.
What money?
Well, our share of the money you're getting for doing what you're doing.
Definitely.
Do you mean to say you came all the way out here and ran the risk of getting killed for nothing?
That depends on what you call nothing.
Well, doing something and not getting paid for it is what I call nothing.
That's your opinion.
Well, what's your opinion, Mr. Boone?
Oh, I don't think your pa would understand.
Maybe Paul wouldn't. It could be I just might.
Now, Ethan, you stay out of this, boy. You don't know what it's all about.
Pa, I heard it all. I'd still like to know what Mr. Boone's opinion is.
Well, it's fairly simple, Ethan. The wagons that we're after are loaded with powder and rifles and whiskey for the Indians. If we can stop them, we can save a lot of homes, maybe a lot of lives.
Are these folks you mean to save all kin and friends of yours?
Some of them I've never seen.
There you go, running around risking your neck for people that don't even know what you're about and probably wouldn't thank you if they did.
I can't argue that.
Well, then tell me why.
Well, I reckon if you belong to a community, You owe a certain obligation to her.
Have you got a family, Mr. Boone?
A wife and a boy.
Well, then that's why you're doing it. And don't tell me all about this obligation to your fellow man.
Well, if you don't believe me, ask Mason or Cully here. They're not even married.
Mason?
I can't add much to what Daniel said. All I know is you gotta pay for the privilege of living with people. And maybe they're allowing you to live with them, whatever it is.
The same goes for me, too.
Well, nobody ever did anything for me I thought I had to pay for.
From what I've seen of you, Simon, I reckon that goes both ways.
Storm's letting up, man.
Well, now that Simon's got us all awake, Mason, you might as well start fixing breakfast. Time we eat will be light enough to travel. Well, there it is. Now all we gotta do is blow it up.
When do you think the British will come, Dan?
We cut it pretty fine. They could be here almost any minute.
Mason, come on. Let's get this powder down the road.
Well, Mr. Boone, since we're here and since me and mine have done our duty as your beasts of burden, we'll be on our way. As soon as you give Ethan and me back our guns.
Oh, help yourself. I've got a little work to do.
Mr. Boone? Ellie and me, we were just wondering if there's anything we can do to help.
Ethan!
Well, I appreciate the offer, Ethan, but it might be a little rough on Ellie.
We know, but we already talked about it. You see, Mr. Boone, we never had a chance to belong any place. Maybe never will again. So if it's like you said that, well, we got a price to pay, well, we just soon start paying right now.
Ethan, have you lost your senses altogether?
You can leave if you want to, Paul, but we're staying.
Well, if that's the way you feel about it, we can use some help.
Well, you just tell us what to do, Mr. Boone.
Ethan, we've got no quarrel with the British.
Paul, there's no use trying to talk me out of it. I don't like to go against you, but, well, my mind's made up. Now, you were saying, Mr. Boone?
Ethan, when that gorge blows, the British are going to come boiling through, try to find out who blew it up. Now, if you can take these rifles and hold them off a little while, give us a chance to get back there and blow the powder in their wagon.
Well, we'll keep them busy. Here.
Ethan?
Paul, there's no use. I don't like to go against her, but, well, my mind's made up.
Well, I heard what you said to Mr. Boone, and I realized for the first time how I've messed up your lives.
Sure you didn't mean to, Paul.
So, if you could trust your old man just one more time, I'd like to go down and see if I could help Mr. Boone.
All right. Paul.
Huh?
You still here?
Mr. Boone, I've been shamed in front of my son, and I'd like to make it up some way. So if it's all right with you, I'll be your lookout.
Come on.
Hope it's us he's gonna look out for.
Well, the worst he could do would be to join up with the British, and that might be a big help to us.
How high up you want to set these things?
Well, as high up as we can get without running out of fuse.
Ethan,
Hmm?
I'm real proud of you.
Proud of me? For what?
For standing up to your pa the way you did.
Guess I should have done it a long time ago.
How you doing?
I'm ready.
Just about set.
They're coming, Mr. Boone. They're coming.
Get on around the rock now. They'll be coming at us any time.
I'm staying right where I am. Ethan, you know I can shoot as good as you.
You better get out of here, son. There's going to be a whole mess of things coming down off of that hill.
Oh, you go right ahead and do what you have to do, Mr. Boone. I'll watch out for the rocks and the British.
Get up there!
I'm gonna stay here and go up with the wagon.
How about you unhitching those horses?
Get out of there. Here, cover us, Mason. Cully. Here, take this. Oh, what's the matter? You blind, Cully? Mason, why don't you go on ahead and see what the British are doing? Have a look at that leg.
Oh. Paul, you hurt bad?
Bad enough. My only satisfaction is that a lot of those British are hurt a lot worse. That leg is broken. So I reckon I'll bed down right here.
Paul, I'm not going to leave you here.
Ethan, there's no other way.
Dan, we can make a litter.
No chance for that. Mr. Boone, I want something else from you. With me to hold you up, those red coats would catch you in a mile. No, I had my chance and I made a hash of it. But I don't want these youngsters to follow in my tracks. You were right last night. These youngsters have a right to a home and a chance for an education. And I want you to promise me to get them out of here safe and sound.
You're a stubborn man, Simon. He'll have a home. I promise you that.
Daniel, we better get moving.
Leave me a couple of guns and I'll hold them off till you get in the clear.
All right. So long, Simon.
Goodbye, Mr. Boone. You know, in some ways, it's been nice knowing you.
Uncle Simon.
Oh, Ellie, now, don't feel bad. Come on. Get going. Ethan, take care of him.
I will, Paul.
Well, what do you think of it?
Well, it looks like it's going to be a real nice cabin.
Well, I'm glad you like it because it's yours.
Ours?
Yep. Lock, stock, and barrel.
Oh, but Mr. Boone, I could never make enough to pay for a house like this.
Oh, there's no pay, Ethan. You know, folks around here are kind of grateful because you helped save their homes. They figure you ought to have one. Think of it as sort of a monument to Uncle Simon.
Mm-hmm. And I can't think of anyone who deserves it more.
Uncle Simon!
Well, you two are looking mighty fit. Yes, we're going to be very happy here.
Speak of the devil, I'll tell you.
I wonder what happened to that broken leg. Where do you suppose he got that coat?
I'd be afraid to ask.
Let's see now. Yes, we'll have him build a nice little room right here for me. Nothing fancy, just a place where I can sleep. Of course, we will need another fireplace. Yes, sir, this is going to be a nice little cabin.
Do either of the two of you think he had this whole thing planned?
I prefer to think you did. It sort of restores my faith in human nature. I'd hate to think a man like Simon reformed and died a hero.